Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici. Welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, and that channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. You know folks, once in a while you come across a pen or a writing instrument that just blows you away. And I've been very fortunate the last couple of days and weeks. I've managed to put together some very exciting deliveries, let's put it this way, from pen makers from all over the world, and all kinds of designs and materials. And I've got to tell you, the pen I've got for you today, in my view, and that's what I mentioned in my intro, it is the best engineered writing instrument that I'm aware of. Everything's been thought of. I mean, every single piece or part of this pen is an engineering statement. So I'm really looking forward to sharing this pen with you. Spoilers alert, unless that nib disappoints me, and it is important, this is going to be a one-sided review, I can tell you right away. The pen I propose for you today is the Gravitas Monster. And you know, the word monster just doesn't reveal the beauty of this pen. It gives you a completely different aspect, and when you take a look at it, it's far from being a monster. In my view, it's a beauty. So without any further ado, Fountain Pen Therapy presents the Gravitas Monster. So we're back with the pen, and here it is. Isn't it a beauty? The first thing that you've got to realize is when I took a look at the advertising of this pen, and even some of the other reviews, I just had a funny suspicion that this pen would be kind of a heavy clunker. The name Monster suggests big and weighty. In my view, it's far from it, folks. It is far from it. Now, let's get into the details. So the first thing I want to mention is that this pen feels so good in the hand. It's just perfect weight. There's a balance to it, and yet it's robust. When I say that this is an engineering or the best engineered pen in the world, I mean, this is the first review where I actually have notes, okay? I had to take down everything that this pen features because I was afraid I would miss something, and hopefully I won't. But let's start, first of all, from the design. The design is unique, in my view, because it has, you know, it has a kind of a cigar shaped here, but yet it's flat here and it's flat there. It kind of bubbles up here and then goes a little bit straighter and then kind of, you know, so I can't think of another pen that has this kind of a shape, okay? So the design and the shape, overall shape of this pen, in my view, is completely unique. Not to mention the fact that it combines, a metal cap, a metal finial, then it gives you some acrylic, and then we'll see that the nib section is again metal. It's just beautiful, and the way it's all integrated, the way it's machined, it's perfection. Okay, now let's first take a look at the material here. This is what they call anodized aluminum, and the expression used is bead blasted. Now, I trust that that means you could see all these little beads, I guess, on this material. That makes it, in my view, very unique. I have several other aluminum, anodized pens, and none of them have this kind of texture to it. There's the finial, there's the Gravitas, and you can actually feel it. There's some texture, so it's engraved there, the Gravitas logo. Now, some people may have said they could have maybe made it a little more elaborate, but this is the nature of this pen. This pen is like, simplicity at its best, yet simple yet complex, in my view, because of all the features it has. So let me take a look again at my notes. The second thing is this optical grade acrylic. Now, I'm not sure what that means, but I've got a feeling that it means like you're almost wearing glass there. It's almost like wearing your glasses, okay? It's just more, it doesn't look like acrylic. It looks like glass. Then there's some steel in there somewhere, and they refer to 304 stainless steel. I guess 304 must mean that it's special or strong or robust. Now, in terms of opening up this pen, it opens up pretty quickly, okay? It doesn't have a clip, and that may be the only fault of this pen, if you can call it that. But it opens up so smooth, and that's the typical Gravitas. Even opening it up, as I mentioned, is a writing experience. And the reason being that it has what they refer to as a Delrin sleeve. And maybe I can take my flashlight and we'll see what that means together. I guess there it is. It must be some kind of material, plastic or acrylic, that allows for that smooth scrolling, kind of opening and closing. And you can see that there is a section there with a little bevel which would seal it. And you can definitely see the entire aluminum shaft. There are no screws. There is nothing. And I guess that's one of the reasons why Ben Walsh didn't want to put a clip on this pen, because he wanted it to be one big piece. And you know what? Clips are overrated in my view. They really are. I never used the clip to clip it on anything. Yes, it serves as a stopper, if you will. But with this kind of pen, you're going to be careful. I've had even pens with clips roll off the desk on me, or bumped and they fall. You just have to be careful. I don't think it's a major thing in my view. Now, everything is machined to perfection, Now, what else have we got here? Okay. The section has not only that kind of beaded look, but it let me see if I can put it even closer. It's got kind of lines, rotational lines. The camera's not really picking. Oh, maybe there you can see it, which kind of gives it a little more texture for the grip. But look at that. You put that in your hand and you feel like it's like a medical instrument. You're about to perform surgery in some futuristic environment. It's beautiful. It's just an absolute gorgeous pen. What else have I got to tell you here? Yeah, the filling system. Now, it's very, very technical, and I'm not going to get into it because I'm not an engineer, and I'm not very good at when it comes to explaining how things work. But my understanding is that this is a vacuum filler, but that valve that you see there, okay, take a look at that. You see that? Is inspired by actual mechanical heart valve. Ben Walsh took a look at that and designed this accordingly. The bottom line is that this system, first of all, it's unique. I think the best thing about it, because I'm not a technician, is it really looks cool, guys. I gotta tell you, it's really, really cool. So cool that I don't want to ink this pen because I'm afraid I'm going to hide that cool mechanism. But the bottom line is that it not only serves to create that vacuum, it seals properly. So when you have to seal it from the second chamber, it seals it. And then it also serves, because of the way it's designed, it kind of lubricates the whole experience. And wow, I'm I've been telling you folks that I had this pen in my cart for weeks now, and that I just thought about it and thought about it and thought about it. And I said, you know what, am I going to spend 350 euros on this pen? And then I took a look at a couple of reviews, and I said, you know what, I've got to have this pen. I don't own a Conid, and I probably never will. But this thing it's kind of satisfied my taste for the Conid. I think this is a better designed pen in my view. And it is so perfectly balanced and weighted. It's just the right weight. It's not heavy, folks. It really isn't. So the next part is the nib. There you have it, a number 8 steel nib. If you order right now it comes in 3 colors. The silver, then there's kind of a blue aluminum, and then there's a black version. And I think the black has a black nib, and the blue and the silver have this silver nib. I chose broad, but it comes in 4 sizes. I think it's extra fine, medium, and broad. It has a slick ebonite feed, so that ebonite feed I'm sure will feed this juicy, I'm hoping to be a juicy broad nib. As you can see, I've not inked this pen, so I have no idea how it's going to perform on paper. It'd be a real shame if after all of this the pen doesn't write properly. If it doesn't, it would be a real shame. But I mean, I like the way it shines. I like the way it looks. I like the cap. I like the way it all fits together. Now, does it post? It posts because of that inner sleeve. It posts. I think it's ridiculously long posted. It may be a little back-weighted, but it does post if you need to post it. And I just don't want to post it. I don't want to ruin it. I just want to... And then listen to the noise. Oh, at the end of the day, when you pick up this pen and write with it, you say, wow, man, do I feel good. It's a feel good. I have 355 euros in my hands. It's worth every single penny in my view, subject to that nib. So before we get to the writing sample, let me go through maybe just a comparison. I don't think anything can compare to this pen, but I'll do my best to kind of show you, give you some concept of size so that you can govern yourselves accordingly, as they say. So give me a second. We're going to set up a comparison here. Then we'll do some measurements, and then we'll get to that writing sample that I'm really looking forward to. Be right back. Okay, here are some of the pens I've chosen. And, I chose the pens just to give you some idea of how how big this pen is. First of all, this is the Moonman T1 or T2, which kind of, has that look of, is similar, but not quite there. Then you have my Asvine V200, which again is a vacuum. This is a vacuum. You have my P36, which is a piston filler, and those have titanium. The subject pen, this is the Natami spaceship pen, I guess you would call it, and this is your Majon P140, which really is the size of a Mont Blanc 149. So it kind of gives you an idea of how big this pen is. It's certainly as big as a 149. It is much girthier at the cap level than the other pens. But there you have it. That gives you an idea of how big this pen really is. So those are the pens capped. Uncapped, and here's where I think the pen just takes on a different shape and a different allure, as they say, and that's where maybe it starts to be what they call a monster. Because as you can see, it completely dominates the picture here. Much bigger than all the other pens, including this 141, which is really the same shape as a 149, or very similar. And as you can see, just this filling reservoir is huge. If you can get a full load, we're talking about 7 milliliters according to the specs. And that vacuum filler is designed where you can, get a lot of ink just on your first vacuum fill. And we're going to see if that's the case in a second when I fill that pen. And one of my dilemmas will be, what ink should I use for this pen? But those are the pens uncapped. Here are the pens posted. I mean, both of the Asvines are not great posters in my view, and are problematic. They don't stay, and they can, they interfere with some of the rubber rings here, and here it interferes with the piston knob. Even the 141 is not the greatest poster, but it is ridiculously long, and I think just slightly back-weighted. But if you want to, it certainly can be posted, although I would not write with this pen posted. So here you have the pens posted. We'll do some measurements and come back, try to ink that pen. I don't know, maybe I'll do it on the air. I'm going to try. I don't want to make a mess, but we'll see. Maybe I'll film it, and if it works out, I'll include it in the video. If not, you'll see it filled. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. I just want to show you the dilemma here. What do I fill this beautiful pen with? Okay. First of all, I think I'm going to go with a blue. Okay. And it's not going to be a dark blue. I want it to be a light blue, just because these days I'm going crazy with turquoise. The Visconti looks really nice right up here, except I find it to be a little dry. The Campecchi is a little too dark. The Kujako is more on the teal. I really like the Iro Jizuku, and I know that's going to be a very performing ink. The Ajisai is more of a royal blue, so that won't work. So let's keep in mind, so far I think this Ori Shizuko and Iro is the one. Mont Blanc maybe is a little too faded. The Mont Blanc Honor Blue. There's a Mont Blanc Turquoise, which might be nice. But I find that this one has a little more depth. Let's keep going. These are just too dark. Rohrer Klinger Blue Mare, I find they're a little bit flat. The Rohrer Klinger inks. There is a Pen BBS Claude Monet. That's interesting as well, which really resembles Iroshizuko. And frankly, in terms of quality, I would go with Iroshizuko at that point. What else have I got here? There is the Leonardo Ficini Italiano turquoise. I would have gone with this one, but my bottle is almost empty, and I do want that, that vacuum to fill. So unfortunately, that's a consideration for me. These are kind of a little bit too dark here. We have the Robert Osters, which are the blues. Are great blues, but there again, I find them to be a little dry. I have Andean Peacock Blue, but it's a little too tealish for me. These are not going to do the trick. What else have I got here in the blues? Got the Mayora Turquoise, but there again, it's a little too green. The Aurora Turquoise really interests me, and I know that that's an excellent, excellent ink. Have I got anything else here? Yeah, there have Van Dieman's Professional Turquoise can also be something for me to consider. These are just too dark. And then there's the Scribble Blue Capri, which I just adore, and it's a nice big bottle. So these are just royal blue. Scribble, Aurora, or Iroshizuku. You know what? I'm going to go with the Scribble. It's in my intro video. You know what? And it's going to be easy to use that bottle. So we'll go with Scribble Blue Capri. I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. As I mentioned, we're going to try to do this live and see what happens. I've got kind of a hand tremor, so everything kind of shakes and people freak out. They think I have, some kind of disease. I don't. I've had this hand tremor all my life almost. But having said that, we're going to give it a go. So we'll pull up this and we will. This is the fill that I got, which is not bad on my first try. It's almost full. The ink just appears to be darker than I thought, but I think a lot of the pictures that we see in some of the reviews, I think the reviewers, what they do is they mix ink with water so that it's nice and light. Well, if it's that light, I guess the ink won't be a real ink. So, but there you have it. I'm pleased. Blue Capri. It worked out really fine. We're going to just shut off that valve for now. We're going to cap it, get my notebook, and we'll do a writing sample. Okay, so we're back with my notepad. The paper I'm going to be using is Tomo River, the original, in this Yamamoto writing pad, size A5. We're going to actually tear that off. Here we go. Put this underneath because it is plain paper. Here we go. We're going to kind of give it a little nudge. That's a bit too much. There we go. Okay. Wow. I'm nervous. The only reason why I'm nervous is that the pen is so beautiful that it would be a real shame if for some reason this nib doesn't live up to my expectations. So let's start. So far, so good. So this is the Gravitas and it's the Monster. And I'm going to say in the silver. The nib is a Gravitas. I don't know if they make their own nibs. That's a little bit of a mystery. Gravitas number 8 steel broad. The ink is scribble capri blue, as he spelled in Italian without the E. Now, first thing to notice is that it is a broad, but it's a kind of a standard broad. So it's not a thick broad like some of the Schmidt nibs would give you. In terms of smoothness, let's do this in an orderly fashion. Very smooth. In fact, very, very smooth. Feedback zero. There is no feedback on it. It's a broad. I don't know if you'll probably feel a little bit of feedback in the finer nibs. In terms of wetness, very, very wet. I mean, I can see the ink there. No problems there. Is it consistent? Consistent. Very constant. There's no skipping whatsoever. Okay. Softness or rigidity. No, there's no. It's a pretty stiff nib, I would say to you. Okay, I don't feel bounce, and I don't see any line variation either. Okay, the downstrokes kind of give you a little more ink than the side strokes, but I think it's a pretty rigid, which is fine because it's so smooth. Now, do the other, the fines, the extra fine, give you a little more bounce? I'm not sure, but this broad doesn't, that's for sure. Reverse writing. Wow. Yeah, 10 on 10. And it gives you, I would say, an extra fine line. You can keep going. Writes very well. So I think we've covered all the bases there. Very nice. I'm not disappointed at all. Likes and dislikes. Now, what I did notice is that despite the kind of grooves it has on this section to minimize the slippery feeling, it takes a little bit to get used to. So in terms of the grip, I think once you get going, you kind of, your hands kind of decide how they're going to, write with this pen. But there is a little bit of slipperiness, I would say to you. And the other dislike, because that's it, no clip. But that's very subjective, but it's no clip. The rest, design, build quality, materials used, the filling mechanism, the nib. And I got to tell you folks, number 8 steel, I think that may be a trend for the future. It allows people to, buy pens of this quality without going crazy on the price. Leonardo's done it. The Chinese have done it. They're probably the ones who've started it all. Leonardo, now you can have a $350 pen like this one, and be able to enjoy all those materials they're using, all the acrylics, the resins, the ebonite, the wood, at an affordable price. So I think this number 8 steel nib may be the way to the future. It allows us all to enjoy a pen at $355 or euros, as opposed to 600-700 euros nib. So value, I would give it a 10 on 10 just because it's worth every penny, folks. Is it a go-to pen? Can you imagine writing with this around a conference room? For me, yes. It's robust. I mean, it's got ink here for a month. I might be exaggerating, but you know what I mean. By the way, the nib section does remove. I should have done that earlier. You can either unscrew the nib or pull it out. I think that even this section may actually open up so you can clean the barrel easier. And I'm sure that the mechanism somehow can slip out and you can, but I wouldn't venture to do it. That's my own feeling, but that's because when it comes to those things, I'm not very good at it. So there you have it. All in all, I think it's a 10 on 10, folks. I know it's expensive, and you may have other priorities. And now the Yasvine V800 has just come out at $60-$70, but I'm giving this pen a 10 on 10, and I cannot do anything other than to recommend it if it fits your budget. If you can allow yourself to enjoy a pen like this at the price, I would definitely save up to get it. It's a 10 on 10, folks. It's a 10 on 10. By the way, I forgot to mention that the pen does come in this nice case. It's hard, protective case. So fits in nicely with a nice felt bed. So there you have it, just another touch. And I know Gravitas is very good at these. They always include something else with their pens. It's very nice. So just an extra for you. There you have it. So there you have it. That's my review. Oops, I've got my notepad here with all my notes. It's a 10 on 10 for me. It's recommended. It's a beautiful pen. I am so pleased to have acquired it. Now, I'm almost going to say that, look, it's just come out. So we'll see. Time will tell. But this has the making of a Grail pen, personally, just because of the engineering in this pen. It has the making of a Grail pen at 355 euros. So there you have it, folks. That's my review. I hope you enjoyed that. I'm going to be, happy playing with this thing for the next few hours and maybe for the rest of the week. Very pleased. Grazie molto. Thank you very much. Please subscribe. It's free. If you like this video, please let me know. If you don't like it, also let me know, but let me know why you don't like it. And you know what, folks? Enjoy your pens. Enjoy your families. Enjoy your fall. Winter's around the corner. So we've got some very nice days coming up, nice and cool. I know I'm going to play my golf until November or early November and then work my tail off until December, and then I'm leaving to Europe to play some golf with my son in Portugal. Looking forward to that. And maybe I'll bring the Gravitas Monster with me. Ciao. Take care.